What would you do if the darkest secrets of your past suddenly knocked on your front door, threatening to shatter the fragile paradise you sacrificed everything to build? A terrified, pregnant woman hiding in the shadows. A ruthless, manipulative husband tracking her every footprint. And an unexpected visitor whose sudden appearance unearths a flood of buried memories. CEO Jack and his devoted partner, Tu Tien, are about to be pulled into a gripping web of deception, past debts, and dangerous confrontations. The peaceful sanctuary they created on their farm is no longer safe, and a single choice could change their lives forever. Why is a dangerous stranger hunting for answers at Jack's estate? And what does a forgotten childhood item have to do with Jack's new corporate assistant? The truth is far more emotional than anyone could have ever prepared for. The morning sun had barely begun to cast its golden glow over the sprawling green hills of the estate when Jack's phone vibrated violently against the wooden table. The sharp ringtone sliced through the morning silence, instantly breaking the calm. Jack picked it up on the second ring, his voice calm but authoritative. "Hello, Fook." "Yes, this is Uncle Jack." On the other end of the line, a young man's voice sounded frantic and disoriented, competing with the distant hum of a motorcycle engine. "Yes, Uncle Jack. I'm currently standing at the three-way intersection. I'm completely lost. Do I turn left or right to reach your farm? I think I see a path, but I want to make sure." Jack smiled faintly, pacing across the polished floor of his living room. "Take the left turn, Fook. Come straight up the hill. You'll see the main wooden gate right ahead. Drive safely." "Understood, Uncle Jack. I will be there in just a few minutes." "Thank you." As Jack hung up the phone, a gentle warmth filled the room. Tu Tien stepped out from the kitchen, holding a warm glass of fresh milk. Her eyes were soft, reflecting a deep, quiet affection as she handed the glass to him. "Here is your milk, Jack. Please drink it while it's still warm," Tu Tien said, her voice like a soothing melody. She looked at him with a hint of surprise. "But wait, aren't you going to the corporate office today? I thought you had a major board meeting scheduled for this morning." Jack took the glass, his fingers brushing against hers, a silent reassurance passing between them. "I have a few urgent matters to handle here at the house today. Tu Tien. I don't need to go into the main office. There are things right here that require my full attention." Tu Tien nodded slowly, a small smile forming on her lips. "I see. In that case, it works out perfectly. I was actually just about to come over and talk to you. I managed to get permission from a local farm owner down the road to harvest a special plot of land today. My plan is to finish the harvest this morning and then head straight to the local market to sell the produce." Jack frowned slightly, his protective instincts instantly kicking in as he glanced toward the window. The sky outside was brilliant, but the heat was already rising from the earth in shimmering waves. "The weather is incredibly hot today, Tu Tien. The sun is unforgiving. Why don't you stay home and rest instead? You don't need to push yourself so hard in this heat." Tu Tien laughed softly, shaking her head as she gently adjusted her hair. "Don't worry about me, Jack. I'll be absolutely fine. I'll just go for a little while and come right back. Besides, I had no idea you were going to stay home today anyway. If I knew, I might have planned differently, but the farm owner is expecting me." "I understand," Jack said, his voice dropping to a softer, more serious register. "I need to finalize some paperwork here at home, and the construction on the house next door isn't fully completed yet. I want to take advantage of this day to finish up the remaining structural details so we can finally bring my mother back here. I know how deeply you miss her, and she misses you just as much." Tu Tien's eyes shone with genuine emotion at the mention of his mother. She reached out, her hand resting gently on his arm. "I really do miss her so much, Jack. Yesterday, when you called her, She told us that she's temporarily settled and doing well over there, which took a huge weight off my chest. But bringing her home to a fully renovated, beautiful house, that's my biggest wish. So please, drink your milk. I need to go prepare my harvesting tools now. Make sure you leave early then, Jack advised, watching her move around the room with an undeniable sense of pride. If you don't get a head start, the afternoon heat will make the work miserable for you. I will, she called out cheerfully from the hallway. Before Tu Tien could walk out the back door, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the front porch. A young man, neatly dressed but covered in a light layer of dust from the road, stepped inside. It was Phuc. He held a thick leather folder tightly under his arm. "Good morning, Uncle Jack," Phuc announced, bowing respectfully. He looked around the beautifully designed space, his eyes wide with admiration. "Please excuse me for dropping by so early. This is actually my very first time visiting your private estate since I joined the corporate team. Wow. I had no idea your farm was designed this beautifully, Uncle Jack. It looks like a masterpiece." Jack gestured toward a set of comfortable chairs. "Sit down, Phuc. Take a seat. You're right. Since you started working at the corporate headquarters, you haven't had a chance to come out here. I originally designed and built this entire sanctuary for my girlfriend. We do a lot of our corporate planning from the city offices, but this is our true home. Drink some water first." "Thank you, Uncle Jack," Phuc said, taking a sip from the glass Jack handed him. He quickly opened his leather folder, shifting back into a professional mindset. "The reason I hurried over today, even though it's technically your day off, is because we just received an immediate response from our major project partners. I knew how critical this was, so I brought the entire legal file and the contracts directly to you for a final review and signature." Jack's eyes sharpened with focus. "Excellent work, Phuc. Let me see the documents." "I didn't expect the partners to review our terms and respond this quickly." "I was surprised too, Uncle Jack," Phuc admitted, handing over the papers. "I was incredibly confident about this specific project, but their rapid response is a fantastic sign. The clauses and regulatory terms we outlined were highly reasonable and mutually beneficial." So Phuc's voice suddenly trailed off. The front door creaked open further, and Tu Tien walked back into the living room, carrying her woven harvest basket. She stopped dead in her tracks when she saw the young man sitting with Jack. "Oh, Jack, I didn't realize you were in the middle of a meeting," Tu Tien said quickly, preparing to step back. "Should I go ahead to the harvest now?" Jack smiled warmly and waved her over. "No, stay for a moment, Tu Tien. Come have a glass of water first. Let me introduce you. This is Phuc. He is the son of my cousin, Luyen. He's currently working as my executive assistant at the corporate office." Tu Tien looked closely at Phuc, her brow furrowing in deep concentration. A sudden spark of recognition flashed in her eyes. "Wait, Phuc? I feel like, haven't we met before? I vividly remember seeing you out near one of our major construction sites a few weeks ago." Phuc stood up immediately, staring at Tu Tien in absolute disbelief. His mouth dropped open slightly as he scanned her face, looking past her current elegant appearance to a memory buried deep in his childhood. "Wait, you're Auntie Tu Tien. The last time I saw you, Uncle Jack had brought me to the project site, and I saw you returning from a harvest. But before that, long before that." Tu Tien gasped, her hand flying to her mouth as the pieces of a distant puzzle fell into place. "Oh my goodness, Phuc, you're the son of Sister Luyen? She is Jack's cousin? I knew your face looked incredibly familiar when I saw you at the construction site, but I couldn't put my finger on it until this very moment." Jack looked between the two of them, completely mystified by the sudden emotional outburst. "Wait a minute. You two already know each other from before? How is that possible?" "Uncle Jack, you don't understand," Phuc said, his voice trembling slightly with emotion. "This is incredible. Years ago, before my mother finally found me and brought me back to the city to get an education, I was a lost child. I was a poor buffalo herder boy working on the rugged mountainsides. And back then, Auntie Tu Tien was. I was completely lost too." Tu Tien interrupted, tears welling up in her eyes as she looked at Phuc, who was now a tall, professional young man. "Back then, I had just come down from the isolated mountains. I had absolutely nothing. I didn't know a single soul, and I had no home. I remember it perfectly. You were just a little boy herding buffaloes in the fields. One day, I was completely desperate, and I didn't even have a single tool to work with. I asked to borrow your knife so I could clear land, harvest wild plants, and try to survive. You were the only person who showed me kindness." Phuc smiled warmly, a profound sense of shared history bonding them instantly. "Yes, I remember being so terrified that my strict boss would find out I lent you his knife. I kept telling you, 'Auntie, please return it or my boss will deduct my entire salary,' but you kept your promise. After that difficult period, my mother found me. We moved up here, and by a beautiful twist of fate, I ended up learning the business from Uncle Jack. I've been trying so hard to grow, to become an honorable, successful man just like Uncle Jack." Jack listened to the story, deeply moved by the realization of how interconnected their lives truly were. "The world is incredibly small," Jack murmured softly. "Both of you came from such humble, difficult beginnings, facing homelessness and isolation. And now, here you are, reunited under this very roof. I am so incredibly happy to see how much you've grown, Phuc," Tu Tien said, wiping a tear from her cheek. "You look so mature and professional now. Back then, we were just trying to survive day by day." "I'm happy for you too, Auntie," Phuc said sincerely. "Seeing you here, living a safe, beautiful life with Uncle Jack, it brings joy to my heart." Jack smiled, closing the folder under his arm. "Well, since you two share such a special history, we need to celebrate. Phuc, you must arrange a time to come over for a proper family dinner. Tu Tien has been meaning to formally thank you for that knife for years, even if she technically never got to return that specific one." "It was nothing, really," Phuc laughed, rubbing the back of his neck. "But I would love to come over for dinner sometime soon, Uncle Jack." "All right, I should let you two get back to your corporate business," Tu Tien said, picking up her basket with renewed energy. "I'm going to head out to the harvest now before the sun gets any higher." "Take care, Phuc. Goodbye, Auntie. Have a safe harvest," Phuc called out as she departed. The pineapple plantation was nestled in a fertile valley just a short distance from the estate. When Tu Tien arrived, the sweet, unmistakable fragrance of ripe fruit filled the air. These weren't ordinary pineapples. They were premium Duamat honey pineapples, famous for their massive size, heavy weight, and translucent, golden flesh that oozed natural sweetness, without ever leaving a burning sensation on the tongue. Tu Tien moved through the rows of sharp, spiky leaves with practiced ease. She carefully selected the largest, most vibrant fruits, slicing them cleanly from their stalks. "Wow, these are absolutely magnificent," she whispered to herself, wiping the sweat from her brow as she lifted a massive golden pineapple. "They are completely bursting with juice. Jack is going to absolutely love these." After harvesting a dozen prime pineapples, she wiped down a smaller one, carefully peeling away the thin outer skin to reveal the rich, golden meat beneath. She took a bite. The intense honey-like sweetness exploded on her palate, completely refreshing her senses against the oppressive heat. "Incredible," she murmured. She noticed the vibrant green crowns of the pineapples. "I wonder if I can plant these crowns back at our farm? This variety is too good to waste. I'll take a few crowns back and try to cultivate them in our garden." With her heavy basket securely strapped to her back, Tu Tien made her way to the local weekend market. The market was a bustling hub of color and noise, a place where villagers from miles around gathered to sell unique, handmade goods, fresh produce, and clothing that were never available during the regular work week. She unfolded a clean woven mat on the ground and carefully arranged her honey pineapples. Their vibrant color and fragrant scent immediately drew a crowd. "Ma'am, how much for these pineapples?" a lady asked, stopping by. "They are 30,000 VND each, ma'am," Tu Tien replied with a warm, welcoming smile. "These are genuine honey pineapples. They are incredibly sweet and juicy, and you only need to peel a very thin layer of skin. No need to laboriously cut out the eyes." "Oh, that sounds wonderful. Give me one, please," the customer said, handing over the money. "Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day," Tu Tien said, handing over the fruit. Within an hour, the market grew even busier. Tu Tien called out gracefully to the passing shoppers. "Fresh honey pineapples, everyone. 30,000 VND for a large sweet fruit, perfect for this hot summer day." An older woman stopped, examining the remaining stock. "Dear, are you sure they are sweet? My grandchildren love sweet fruit, but they hate it when it burns their tongues." "I guarantee it, grandmother," Tu Tien said gently. "I tasted one directly at the farm today. It is as sweet as pure honey, and very gentle on the tongue. You won't regret it." "All right, give me 2 of the ripest ones." The elderly woman smiled. Tu Tien carefully packed the pineapples and handed them over, receiving the cash and offering a respectful bow. "Thank you, grandmother. Give my best to your grandchildren." By the end of the morning, only 1 pineapple remained on her mat. Tu Tien looked down at it and smiled. She had intentionally kept this one the most perfect, beautifully formed pineapple of the entire batch. She wrapped it carefully. This was her special gift for Jack. Back at the estate, the roar of a weed whacker echoed across the front yard. Jack was dressed in work clothes, skillfully cutting down the overgrown weeds and wild grass that had sprouted around the edges of the property. The grass had begun to flower, and if he didn't clear it now, the wild seeds would overrun the entire lawn. He wanted the entrance to look immaculate and green for his mother's imminent arrival. Suddenly, a shadow fell over the gate. A man dressed in ragged clothes, with an anxious, calculating look in his eyes, walked hesitantly onto the property. He looked around suspiciously, eyeing the beautiful house and the high-end construction nearby. Jack turned off the machine, the sudden silence echoing through the yard. He wiped his brow and eyed the stranger with an intense, guarded expression. "Can I help you? Who are you looking for?" The man took off his hat, putting on a facade of desperation. "Hello, sir. I'm incredibly sorry to bother you. Is this the residence of CEO Jack?" Jack took a step forward, keeping his distance but holding his ground. "Yes, this is my house. What is this about?" The man sighed deeply, rubbing his face with a trembling hand. "Ah, thank you heavens, I finally found it. Sir, you might not recognize me, but I am Than. I am the husband of Tu Ly. Do you remember her?" Jack's eyes narrowed instantly, his entire posture stiffening. The name triggered an immediate alarm in his mind. Tu Ly was a vulnerable, pregnant woman who had sought refuge with them weeks ago, completely terrified and broken, fleeing from the horrific physical and emotional abuse inflicted by this exact man. Jack knew the truth, but he kept his expression perfectly unreadable. "Ah, Than. Yes, I recognize the name now," Jack said coldly. "Please come inside and have a seat." They walked into the living room, the atmosphere instantly turning thick with unspoken tension. Jack poured a glass of water and placed it on the table, sitting across from the man, analyzing his every movement. "Thank you, sir," Than said, taking a sip and looking around the room, trying to see if there were any signs of a woman's presence. I've been searching everywhere, tracing addresses and asking around for months. I finally managed to find your location. Tell me, sir, have you seen my wife? Is Tu Tien here with you?" Jack leaned back, his voice completely calm and smooth, a masterclass in corporate negotiation and protection. "Thun, from the moment I brought Tu Tien back to her family weeks ago, she hasn't returned here. She completely vanished from our radar. Why are you looking for her here? Did she leave your home again?" Thun immediately put on a theatrical display of grief, shaking his head and sighing heavily. "Sir, to tell you the absolute truth, my wife has a terrible habit. Every single little disagreement we have, she throws a tantrum and runs away. My mother and I have been searching for her tirelessly for months. We are worried sick. She is heavily pregnant, carrying my unborn child, and we have absolutely no idea where she is or if she's safe." Jack listened to the lies, disgust boiling deep within his chest, but he kept his composure. He remembered the bruises on Tu Tien's arms, the terror in her voice when she described how Thun and his mother starved and beat her. "Is that so?" Jack asked, his voice dripping with subtle skepticism. "If you treated her so well, why does she keep running away? I swear to you, sir, we treat her like royalty." Thun lied smoothly, leaning forward to look more convincing. "Ever since she returned home, my mother and I have been pampering her. We slaughter chickens for her meals. We buy her the best food. We don't let her lift a single finger around the house. I handle all the domestic chores from morning till night, tending to the cattle, cleaning the yard, cooking every meal. But she just refuses to eat our food, complains constantly, and then she just packs her bags and leaves. I am completely at my wit's end, sir. I don't know what else to do to please her." "I see," Jack replied, his face a mask of stone. "Well, I haven't seen her. She is definitely not here." Thun's eyes darted around the room, clearly unsatisfied with the answer. He could sense that Jack was hiding something. "Sir, are you absolutely certain she hasn't contacted you or your girlfriend? If she does come here, could you please call me immediately? Could I please get your personal phone number so we can stay in touch?" Before Jack could answer, the front door opened, and Tu Tien walked in, carrying her final honey pineapple. She stopped, her eyes instantly locking onto Than. Her heart skipped a beat, a flash of pure panic entering her eyes before she quickly forced herself to remain calm. "Oh, hello," Tu Tien said slowly, stepping into the room. Than stood up quickly, his eyes narrowing as he recognized her. "Ah, Auntie Tu Tien, you're back. I was just asking Uncle Jack if you two have seen my wife, Tu Tien. She ran away again, and we are desperate to find her." Jack gave Tu Tien a sharp, meaningful look, signaling her to follow his lead. Tu Tien caught the cue instantly. She lowered her basket, her voice completely steady. "Hello, Mr. Than," Tu Tien said, her voice cool and distant. "As Jack already told you, Tu Tien is not here. We haven't seen her since she left. We have no involvement in your family's personal affairs." Than looked between Jack and Tu Tien, noticing the subtle, unspoken communication between them. A dark suspicion began to brew in his mind. "They are definitely hiding something," he thought to himself. "Look at how they are looking at each other. They know exactly where she is. I'll leave for now, but I will definitely come back and catch them red-handed." "I understand," Than said aloud, forcing a fake smile as he picked up his hat. "If she isn't here, then I won't waste any more of your valuable time. Thank you for the water, sir." "Thank you, Auntie. I will take my leave now. Have a safe trip back," Jack said coldly, watching the man walk out the gate. The moment Than's figure disappeared down the village road, Tu Tien let out a long, shaky breath, turning to Jack with deep anxiety etched across her face. "Jack, that man is an absolute monster. Everything he just said was a complete, Fabricated lie. When Tu Lei stayed with me, she wept for hours, telling me how he brutally mistreated her. I am so incredibly terrified that he will find out she is currently hidden safely at her relative's house. If he finds her, he will destroy her life. Jack walked over, wrapping his strong arms around her shoulders, drawing her close to comfort her. Don't worry, Tu Tien. I could see right through his act. The moment he started painting himself as a perfect, doting husband, I knew he was a liar. That's exactly why I refused to give him my phone number and told him absolutely nothing. I already know that Tu Li sought refuge with her distant relatives, and I intentionally kept that a secret from him. We will protect her. Tu Tien leaned against his chest, her heart slowly stopping its frantic racing. Thank goodness you were here, Jack. If he knew the truth, he would have caused a massive scene and dragged her back to that living nightmare. I just hope she stays safe. Until the baby is born, she will be safe, Jack promised, kissing the top of her head. Tomorrow, I will secretly send a few of my trusted security personnel to discreetly check on Tu Lei and ensure her location remains completely compromised and secure. You don't have to carry this worry alone. By the late afternoon, dark, heavy clouds began to roll rapidly across the summer sky, swallowing the scorching sun. The air turned thick and humid, and within minutes, the wind picked up, causing the large trees around the estate to bend and sway violently. Dead leaves were whipped up into mini whirlwinds along the dirt paths. Then, the sky cracked open with a thunderous roar. Large, heavy raindrops began to pelt the metal roofs, quickly transforming into a massive, blinding sheet of summer rain. The downpour washed away the oppressive heat, replacing it with a cool, crisp, and refreshing breeze. Next door, at the construction site, the workers had to halt their outdoor tasks. Jack walked over through the rain, entering the sheltered structure where two of his head builders, Hung and a younger worker, were packing up their tools. Moneyless weather we have here, Uncle Jack, Hung joked, wiping rainwater from his arms. But man, we desperately needed this rain. The heat today was almost unbearable. Jack smiled, sitting down on a wooden bench with them. You're right, Hung. It's a spectacular storm. We can handle the remaining outdoor brickwork tomorrow once the ground dries up a bit. The younger worker looked out at the white sheet of rain, a sudden look of melancholy crossing his face. Looking at a massive storm like this, it really makes me miss my hometown. It makes me miss my wife and kids so much. Hung laughed, clapping the young man on the back. Look at him, Uncle Jack. He's already lovesick. He's been working up here on the mountain with us for nearly 2 months straight, and all he does is talk about his family back home. Jack's expression turned deeply empathetic. He understood the profound sacrifice of honest labor. I completely understand, guys. You've both been working tirelessly to help me finish this house for my mother. I tell you what, the moment this entire phase of construction is fully completed, I am granting both of you a full week of paid leave so you can travel back home and spend quality time with your wives and children. The younger worker's face lit up with pure joy. Really, Uncle Jack? A full week? That would be absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. A week is too short, Jack, Hung teased with a wide grin. Make it a whole month. Let's finish the house first, Hung, and then we will talk about a month. Jack laughed, the warmth of camaraderie filling the concrete structure. Just then, the door to the shelter opened, and Tu Tien stepped inside, shaking a few raindrops from her jacket. She was carrying a large covered wicker basket, and the most intoxicating, savory aroma instantly filled the room. Good evening, everyone, Tu Tien announced with a bright, radiant smile. I saw the massive storm and knew you all had to stop working, so I prepared a special treat to help warm you up. She opened the basket to reveal a towering stack of fresh, golden bon zio, Traditional Vietnamese sizzling pancakes, crispy and stuffed to the brim with seasoned pork, fresh shrimp, and crunchy bean sprouts. Alongside, it was a large bowl of sweet and sour dipping sauce packed with garlic and chili, and a basket of fresh herbs. "Wow, bonzio!" Hung exclaimed, his mouth watering instantly. "Mistress Tu Tien, you are an absolute angel. This smells absolutely incredible. Please everyone eat while it's burning hot," Tu Tien said, distributing the plates. "This is actually my very first time making bonzio. I found a traditional recipe in a cookbook recently and tried my best to replicate the exact steps. I hope the batter turned out crispy enough." Jack took a large bite, wrapping the crispy pancake in a fresh mustard leaf. The crunch echoed through the room. "Tu Tien. This is absolutely phenomenal. The texture is perfect, and the flavor is spot on. You are becoming an incredible chef." "It really is delicious, mistress." The younger worker chimed in, happily devouring his portion. "This tastes exactly like the traditional ones from my hometown." As the workers happily ate, Tu Tien pulled out a separate plate containing the final honey pineapple she had saved from the market. She had perfectly sliced it into beautiful, golden wedges that practically glistened with sweet juice. She handed a piece directly to Jack. Jack took a bite of the fruit, the rich, honeyed sweetness perfectly balancing the savory meal. He looked at Tu Tien, his eyes filled with an intense, unwavering devotion. "Tu Tien," Jack said softly, his voice dropping so only she could hear over the sound of the pouring rain outside. "Sometimes I look at you, and I am completely overwhelmed. From the difficult days when you had absolutely nothing, to the beautiful woman you are today, you have faced so much adversity, so much emotional pressure, and yet you always choose kindness, protection, and love." Tu Tien looked into his eyes, her heart swelling with a deep, mature happiness. "Jack, being able to work hard, to protect people like Tu Lay, and to build this beautiful life alongside the man I love, it doesn't feel like a burden at all. It makes me feel incredibly valuable. It makes me realize how truly blessed I am to have you as my partner." Jack smiled, a profound sense of peace settling over him. He leaned in, his lips gently meeting hers in a soft, lingering kiss that sealed their unspoken promise to face whatever storms the future might bring, completely united. Outside, the heavy summer rain continued to fall, washing the old mountain paths clean. But inside the sanctuary of their home, the light of true love and shared responsibility burned brighter than ever before.